So my lesson was called The Case of the Vanishing Point, and it was a 1 point perspective lesson for my sixth graders that tied in visual arts standards, media arts standards, and social studies standards. And so it started with a web quest, introducing students to landscape drawing and kind of making it like a fun mystery spy game where they could web quest through to learn their vocabulary words so they could learn their terms, um, which would take them to different websites that showed them examples of their vocabulary. Then they could, oh, this is a little bit cut off, then they could look at evidence of 1 point perspective throughout history, and they could interact with different pieces of art so that they could see which points were which in the art itself. So they could click on different parts of the artwork and go back to their vocabulary to see which thing they had clicked on, so they could start making associations between the vocabulary words and real examples of art. Then they started the work for creating their own 1 point perspective projects, and this is where social studies tied in. The sixth grade students are learning about different countries in Europe right now, and so the object for them was to work as a pair throughout the web quest, filling out our Think, Pair, Share handout, but they would eventually individually choose their own location and create their own 1 point perspective drawing of a country that they're studying in social studies right now. So to get them excited about that so that they could tie in real world objects and views and buildings from different countries from the list that they had, they were using Google Street View so that they could drop themselves into different areas of their countries and actually look around and see what's there. And we often use visual resources in art to help inform our work, but this really made it very valid, provided them with an opportunity to see firsthand exactly what their location looked like, and even gave them opportunities to see those locations in 1 point perspective. If they didn't want to use Google Street Maps, I did have some preloaded webcams for them that they could also use that focused on some of the more popular cities that students often chose. So they could go to different parts of Europe that way and see some of the more famous sites. So all of these would hit on some of those different locations. So they were supposed to use their visual verbal journals, which are sketchbooks that we not only draw in, but also write our reflections in, to jot down notes from things that they saw using the spy cams. There's a big finger quote there, but that gets them excited. Or using Google Street Maps in order to find their the information they needed to make their drawings look more realistic. So then it goes to recreating the crime of the missing vanishing point. And for those of you who are not familiar with perspective vernacular, a vanishing point is the farthest point away in the distance where you can no longer see, where the converging lines come together and vanish, basically. So they were going to start using the sketch that they had created in their visual verbal journals. They could choose whatever media they wanted to create their piece of art in, drawings, paintings, or digital. There was an embedded tutorial that would show them step by step. There's the vanishing point. Hi. Step by step how to draw a 1 point perspective drawing so that they could use that information to create their locations. So this tutorial just basically walks you through of how to do a 1 point perspective drawing. Some of the directions are getting cut off at the bottom in my screencast, but simultaneously, while they were working, some of them could work through the tutorial themselves. the students that were struggling would, I had small group kind of like tutorials or one-on-one opportunities for them to use, to see me doing it, to try with someone helping so that they weren't just out there by themselves trying to figure it out. And I was really very pleased with the outcome of this project. I think that one thing that I would do differently would be to do a whole group tutorial first before I sent them on their web quest, and just do a generic 1-point perspective drawing like the tutorial, so that when they use that tutorial to draw their location, they were already a little bit more familiar with the process and the steps. Perspective drawing is one of those things that students either get right away or have trouble understanding. I see I'm going way past my time. So at the end, I used 2 more Web 2.0 tools to kind of help tie up our project together. So we had a Quizlet for our vocabulary words, where they could use this website to review their flashcards and practice their, vocabulary by, studying from the flashcards or playing games. They also could, when they were ready, they would have one opportunity to take the vocabulary quiz, also on Quizlet, which they were able to do at their own pace, and it provided them with opportunities for feedback if they got something wrong. And then at the very end, at the very end, the students got the opportunity to reflect on their work and the work of their peers through a group Padlet. Every project we do, we have a reflection piece, and this gives us a chance to upload our work, and it also gives us a chance to comment back and forth to each other. And I believe the Padlet is here, there it is. So this is our Padlet for the class. Here's my example, loaded up, telling them what they need to do, tying back into that social studies, really wanting to know about their geographical features that they chose that they could see using Google Street Maps. All in all, I'm very pleased with the way that the digital tools helped facilitate the learning. It wasn't the only thing driving the lesson. There was a lot going on, but we wouldn't have been able to do this project without the digital tools. And that's one of the things I love about instructional technology. So thanks for watching.